Punisher. It's the 1980s version with Dolph Lundgren, and I know what you're thinking. It's like, oh, that sounds like it might be pretty good. It's not though. And how could people forget this film with memorable lines such as this?
If you're guilty, you're dead.
The film starts with spooky cardboard cutout vignettes of thugs and criminals, and there's a Liu Kang guy in there for some reason. So anyway, the news are like, right, the guy that killed Frank Castle's entire family's getting out of prison today. And then they show a picture of Dolph where he just looks like some f***ing guy you'd see sitting at a bus stop somewhere. Anyway, they're like, who is the Punisher? He don't wear no mask and everyone calls him Frank. But yeah, we're still trying to piece it together. Meanwhile, this mob boss guy gets out of prison and they're like, yeah, what's it like not being in prison anymore?
Great. Just great.
And she's like, are you worried at all about the Punisher? He's killed like 150 criminals in 2 years. Pfft, what's he gonna do? Shoot bullets at me? Anyway, Dolph is literally sat like 12 feet away while all this is happening, and he just follows the guy straight to his house on his loud motorcycle. So they get back to the crime mansion and he's like, one of you, and only one of you, go make sure the house is secure. So he's like, okay then, and he starts with the Circus Hall of Mirrors that all houses came with back then. But Dolph stabs him from an air vent with a knife he was holding in between his toes while wearing boots. Anyway, he kills some more guys with gravity and little bits of string. And then Dolph blows up his house, but that's not enough, so he stabs him with his signature skull knife just to make sure. And then we're treated to this long, soundless tracking shot of this sewer tunnel. Yep. Oh. Well, I wasn't expecting him to just be sat there with his cock out, but okay. Anyway, Dolph, still naked apart from the felt-tip pen on his face, starts remembering when the mob killed his family. And meanwhile, this detective is getting his balls bust for trying to catch Dolph. And it turns out he used to be his old partner on the force before he went mental and started blasting everyone. And this lady detective is like, I want to be your new partner on the Punisher case. And he's like, that's not how it works. And while that's going on, these two mobsters who are replacing the guy that just got blown up are like, yeah, we're gonna do the biggest drug deal in history and unite all the families into one big super gang. It's gonna be fucking awesome. And we're doing it all this weekend. Oh, sweet. Well, what are we gonna do about the Punisher though? One thing at a time, Steve. One thing at a time. We'll sort this out first, then we'll deal with the Punisher later. Well, I don't know if that's such a good idea. What's he gonna do? Hide bombs at the places we go to? Later that night, Dolph lures this homeless man down an alleyway using a remote control truck and some booze, which is a bit fucked up when you think about it. And I know what else you're thinking. How can Dolph see around the corner and drive the truck? And why doesn't the homeless man just grab the bottle? There are no answers to these questions. Anyway, Dolph reveals himself and he just sort of stands there like he's having a staring contest with a pigeon. So it turns out he's Dolph's informant, who he pays/lures with bottles of labelless brown sewer liquid. And he's like, fucking listen up here, house. Where's the dope coming into? Oh, it's coming in on Pier 30, but watch out, all the mob families are going to be there. Yeah, well, you watch this. Meanwhile, at the pier, they're setting up comms. Mic check, Bobby coming over, and Bobby's like, we're there. Why is there a 4-foot Japanese sword sticking out of Bobby's windshield? You think he's alright? Anyway, these guys hijack the drug boat, and they start throwing like little pieces of board games at people. And Dolph's lying in wait with his crossbow, and the ninja guys just start massacring the mob with knives and swords and Uzis and all sorts of shit. But then this guy just chooses to run in and start throwing punches like two uncles fighting over a sausage roll at a wedding. Dolph zip lines down and he starts wasting people, and I love his sporty little run he does while he's pumping rounds into people's heads. So they try to escape with the drugs, but Dolph Lundgren has legs as tall as adult men, so he catches up with them with the lightest of jogs. So he crashes the van with the drugs into the water, and somebody stabs him and then he falls in, and then he goes back to his lair and burns the wound shut because everything heals better in a sewer. Next day, the mobsters have a meeting with this Yakuza lady to declare war on them over who gets to do all the crime in whatever city this is. And Dolph's listening to him through a really long sewer pipe. And this lady detective is like, what if we use these computers to see if we can find where the Punisher is? And then this guy's like, I've been hunting the Punisher for 5 years. I've looked everywhere in this city. That man's a ghost. Well, have you checked the sewers? No. Anyway, the Yakuza kidnap all the mobsters' kids, and Dolph is like, whoa, that's fucked up. I draw the line at making them all orphans. So he comes through the ceiling of this casino and he just starts gunning down everything with a pulse. And he's like, release the children. What the fuck are you talking about? So Dolph tracks down where the kids are being held at this fun house. And Hugh Laurie is like, do you want me to come in and help you?
The whole of the kids here with the fucking arsenal.
So he walks in, and rather than ambush him with some spooky funhouse mirrors, or by turning the rides on to distract him, they all just run at him as fast as they can and start shooting. And I know what you're thinking, why have this scene in a funhouse at all? Well, it's so we can have ninjas going down slides, obviously. I mean, there's one guy who didn't even bring any bullets for his gun, so he just pretends to fire it hoping that no one will notice. And then I noticed that they're coming down the slide in waves, so they must be queuing up at the top waiting to get on the slide so they can come down and shoot at Dolph. Anyway, Dolph tries to get away because he's not about fun slides because he got one of them dry friction burns on his elbow when he were a kid. But as Dolph's trying to get away, this ninja lady throws like a chain round his bike wheel, and rather than her getting dragged along and ragdolled like a boneless chicken, Dolph is launched 30 feet and then he falls about 2 stories vertically onto concrete. But because of his massive freak body, it's just like falling off of the couch for him. Anyway, they capture him and they start torturing him by trying to make him even taller, but Dolph's perfectly happy with being 9'6", so he uses his vampire fingers to escape. Meanwhile, the mobsters are having a nice meal at this restaurant, but this one guy notices a fly on this other guy's face. So Dolph gets loaded up on sewer beers and he steals this bus. And he saves the kids. Then he rams through these goons, but this one guy throws himself through the windshield because that's the best way to get onto a speeding bus. Anyway, he gets the kids to the police and then they arrest him because being really upset isn't a defense for 150 counts of murder. And his old partner grills him for shooting all those people, but Dolph is still a tiny little bit cut from all those sewer beers. And he realises he isn't getting through to him, so he tries a more subtle approach.
Let me in! Let me in!
Anyway, he has a scary dream that he's on a motorbike, and the next day he's absolutely hanging out of his face, and this detective lady won't stop buzzing in his ear and he's like, fuck off. So this mobster busts him out of prison because he wants his help to rescue his son because he got left behind when Dolph saved the other kids, and they shoot their way into this penthouse where the Yakuza lady is. And somehow they've got to get past all these guys with swords. And this one guy is camping round this corner, but Dolph has aimbot enabled, so it's fine. And then these samurai dudes jump him and disarm him of all his modern weaponry, and then just get killed with samurai weapons in like 3 fucking seconds. And Hugh Laurie has had enough of the sewer life, so he lifts this manhole cover like it's made of biscuits. And the cop is trying to get up to the top floor, but he's faced with the snarkiest elevator repairman ever. Anyway, the Yakuza lady holds the kid hostage, but Dolph has wall hacks enabled, so it's fine. And she's all like, shoot yourself in the head or I'll kill the kid, but then Dolph is all like... Anyway, the mobster betrays him, and then they proceed to have the wettest fight to end a film ever. And he shoots him point blank with a 44 Magnum, but he's like, body armor, bitch. So he just shoots him again, but it works this time. And then he returns to the sweet embrace of the sewer.